Good morning, everybody. Welcome
Good
along
morning, good
again.
morning, good morning.
It's a great Friday midday news chat with myself and obviously the mighty Win. But before we go any further and we get involved in what's been going on in the last 12 hours or so, let's just do some housework and then we'll crack on. So again, welcome to everybody across all platforms. Thanks to everybody working in the background. Don't forget to hit that like button if you want to help us get further as a channel to other NUFC supporters. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit that bell for future content. And if you want to help us and make the channel grow, become a member. It's a small monthly fee and that'll get you some members content behind the scenes and obviously a chance to win prizes. And obviously you can start entering some of our competitions. Don't forget to check out our webpage. We'll keep it updated as much as we can as news comes through. Have a look at NUFC talk.tv and then obviously there's no ads in that. It's just what we do for the love of the club. And there's no financial reward for us doing it. So like I say, sometimes we can delay the information on there. We wait for obviously a decent source before we input any information. If you've got any questions before as we go along to me or Win, whack a Q in front of the question, just so it highlights it in the chat, and then we will do our best to get to it and answer it the best we can. If you can't answer it, then obviously we'll do some homework and we'll get back to you. Apologies if you don't mention everybody's chat, because obviously you talk amongst yourselves. But if you do want to guarantee that mention, please use the $sign, follow the instructions, and we will endeavour to mention it. Any new members or any gifts will be highlighted and thanked as we go on. So how are you, my friend, this morning on
Very,
this
very good, thank you.
bright sunny morning? Yeah,
Just say
these
hello
days never
to
seem like.
a few
Go
of
on.
these good folks in the chat who've been in Brighton early. We've got Lee McFarlane, Mighty Mag, Geordie Toon for Life, Jens Gordon John, Strasbourg Steve's in the chat. What time's it over there? 6 o'clock in the morning, Steve. Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's got to be early.
David Knight and Lee McFarlane. Oh, we've already said Lee. So welcome one and all to the chat.
Absolutely.
Sit back, buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Indeed. Now, before we get any further, obviously we found out this morning, and me and you were just having a quick gander behind the scenes. That's why we were probably a few seconds late this morning to try and get some clarification on what's happened to Fabian Schär. Now, the word on the street now is that they've obviously had the red card as being contested by the club that Fabian Schär had against Southampton. Unfortunately, it's failed, and obviously they're waiting the reasons from the FA for that failure. Now, I thought it was obviously if your appeal was rejected, you get that extra match. And I was just having a quick look at what it states under the sending off rule, and then obviously we can have a quick gander of how it works.
The reason we've been doing this because there's been a lot of stuff online lately, including something that I saw on Talk Sport, saying that if you appeal and lose the appeal, you don't get an extra games ban, which was one of the reasons I was saying the club might not appeal, because I didn't think it would be overturned simply on the grounds of the initial reaction, getting up off the ground and pushing Diaz in an aggressive manner, because you're not allowed to raise your hands. Forget about use of the head for the time being. You weren't allowed to raise your hands. So it would then depend on the referee's report as to what the player was actually sent off for. Was he sent off for the headbutt, or was he sent off for the pushing? If it was for the head... Sorry, go on, Gary.
No, go on, carry on, because you were halfway
through if it was for the headbutt, that could be deemed violent conduct. And there's various classifications, and that affects the number of bans, number of games that you're banned for. But if it's extreme violent conduct, so that there's various degrees, there's violent conduct, extreme violent conduct, abusive language, etc., etc., etc. I can't find anywhere that tell me that the rule that I'm currently looking at, which says if the appeal is deemed frivolous, then an additional games ban will be added. And I can't find anywhere that that's changed. So if anybody can tell us where this new change to the rules, where appeals do not result in additional bans, I would love to know, because I can't find it anywhere. And obviously it makes a big difference then as to whether you appeal or whether you don't appeal, and whether it's considered frivolous or not. Now, if I was under the old rules, which is where you do get an extra game ban for appealing, I wouldn't be appealing that red card, simply on the grounds that the original jump up off the ground, running towards the player and pushing him could quite easily be deemed red cardable, for want of a better expression.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be overturned. However, on the basis that Diaz only got a yellow card for the original equally aggressive push in the back, that was just deemed to be a yellow. Well, Cher's push on Diaz, retaliatory push on Diaz, was no more violent than what Diaz's on Cher was in the first place. So you could argue that if one was just a yellow, the other should just be a yellow, although maybe exacerbated because it was retaliatory. So then, until somebody's seen the referee's report, which presumably the club will have done by now, because we've also, in the little bit research that we've done, found out that an appeal has to be lodged within 2 working days.
Before 5 o'clock, yeah.
So that would have made it kind of like Wednesday, if you allow Monday and Tuesday as the 2 working days, the appeal would have to have been lodged on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And by all
Which is what I said before, wasn't it? That's what I said.
Yeah.
You're allowed 2 working days. I mean, it's different from obviously where I refereed in the really low levels, grassroots football. To obviously there is some talk, and there is. I have to just highlight this because referees have got their own room where they'll write up the notes and everything else. But as you well know, during the as we all saw, it was a little bit heated at half time. It would have probably been again heated at the end of the match, and there'll be questions raised about how much intent Fabian Shaw had with his head. Now, you're absolutely right, Wayne. There is nothing written down about, even in the FA rules. I've got the FA rules in front of me.
I've looked
So
everywhere.
yeah, you're absolutely right. There is nothing stating if you lose your appeal now that an extra game is added to the ban, to the length of the ban. And it says here, and I would imagine it's been done for violent conduct, and it's a straight red, and it's a 3-match ban. So that just means now he obviously misses the game against Bournemouth, the game against Forest, and the game against Spurs. But he should return, or should be available for selection against Wolves. Because obviously I was going on the old rules this morning, thinking obviously because we have now lost that appeal, he will get an extra ban. But it doesn't look as though that's
It says frivolous.
Yeah.
The most up to date one that I can find, which was dated 24, says frivolous appeals can be punished by an extra
An extra game.
But anyway, the bottom line here, according to Connor, is that the club on X just posted Shea is a 3-match ban.
3-match ban, yeah, exactly. I've just got. I mean, I have got the whole table up. I mean, like I say, it's changed somewhat from when I got my referee's badge. And it's one of them that I'm going to have to obviously go back and have a really good look at. So I'm glad I've downloaded that, because that's going to be useful for us questioning decisions going forward. So that's that little bit of information anyway. So we'll get rid of that. So obviously that shares information out the way. So this morning obviously was Eddie Howe's press conference, and it was, I suppose, it was typical Eddie Howe, with some of his stuff that he brings up. But when you obviously have written quite a lovely love letter to me this morning, Win, what Eddie Howe said. So we're going to go through it piece by piece. So the first question, obviously, a lot of you, I suppose, if you anybody that's watched the interview this morning, a lot of it was around the Kieran Trippier news, and obviously there's a little bit of, I don't know, questions on what's actually going on. And Eddie, in his typical way, was like, I don't know where a lot of this stuff, where a lot of this news comes from, because it's like it's new to him. That's the way he always seems to bring it across. But one of his first comments was about obviously the win against Southampton, and he spoke about the defence, and this is what he said. We defended our goal really well. A great return to the style of how to defend. It is about doing it consistently. That was only one game, but I was very pleased. It was an important game for us, sets the marker for us. And I suppose it's something that we missed last year, isn't it? It was like, we didn't have that solidity at the back. And I suppose our hand was forced, if you like, with obviously the Shaw red card. So, but we've had lots of programs in the week, and we've all said, what a great bit of togetherness that was for the whole of the team, and the way they worked hand in hand to get the job done. Win.
Yeah, well, people poo-pooed me last season when they were all castigating Dubravka. And I said that Dubravka's goal concessions were not even just to do with the defence. They were to do with the midfield and Bruno not being there.
Mm.
And that was never more exemplified than it was on Saturday, because Bruno was absolutely immense. And if he hadn't been on that pitch, I don't believe that defence would have stood as strong as it did. And when he wasn't there last season, clubs were going through our midfield like a knife through butter. So it was a team effort, not just the defence, as well as the defenders all of them. GS7 and in that midfield, helping back there. I can think off the top of my head at least 3 clearances that GS7 made outside from within the box, and he wasn't there.
Yeah. I think you did a little bit of a typo there, because you said missing Bruno last season, and I think you meant J7. It was because you confused me. Then I'm thinking,
Sorry. Yeah. Of course, I meant GS7. Yeah.
No.
If I said
caught on as
Bruno,
soon
I
as you said it.
apologise. Yeah.
As soon
bad.
as when I was thinking, hold on, I'm sure he
No,
only missed one game.
James Cuff's in the chat there saying, "Yeah, do you mean of course? I mean GS7."
Yeah, indeed. Typo, a slip of the tongue.
Nah.
Well, you're used to them, aren't we?
One of our 2 brilliant Brazilians.
Yeah, indeed, the Salsa Boys. Yeah. So he went on to talk about Bournemouth, and obviously this is going to be quite a tough game. And he said that we had two really tough games against them last season. We are an athletic side who will hurt you on transitions if you are not on it. We are not fooled by how difficult this game will be. We need to be better on the road than we were last season. We need to go into the game with the right frame of mind. When you turn up for a game, you are there to win. We have to try and start well. We have to try and get momentum in our season. Now that was an interesting, I suppose, sentence that he put there because I said after the game on Saturday they hadn't got the spark. And you look at it compared to the start of the season last year. I suppose we were all expecting this almighty crescendo going forward, and you could see that when you look at our prediction tables, the amount of people that were putting 3, 4, and 5s nil. But it didn't work. It didn't work out that way, did it?
I still think it could have done if we hadn't. We started off badly. Yeah, started off slowly. Sometimes we do, but we're so against. If we go back to last season against Villa, even on the opening day, they could have been 2-0 up before we found our feet, and were quite fortunate with Mings getting carried off, which helped our cause. But eventually, we just built up that muscle memory, head of steam, call it what you will, and rolled them over. The same with the Spurs game. Spurs could have been 2 up before we scored, and then away we went. But
Yeah,
actually, the one take that I took from Eddie today when talking about Bournemouth, for the first time ever, and we played them a few times and I wonder how, he didn't once mention his previous connections with Bournemouth.
very weird.
Invariably played them in the past. He sort of said, obviously I've got fond memories, da-di-da-di-da. So it'll be tough and etc., etc., etc. Obviously, I want to win for us and all saying all the right things, but giving a really good memory feast of his time at Bournemouth. And this morning he didn't. So I wonder if he's finally got pissed off with him raining on his parade.
Parade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Um,
And then
let's
another
have a
thing about Bournemouth in particular
yeah. Go on.
is that Callum Wilson has never played against Bournemouth. All the time he's been here,
Yeah, it's a
he
stat and a half,
always
isn't it?
seems to. Now, him being injured for a match is not unusual, of course,
No.
but he's always been injured against Bournemouth. Do, 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 do,
Well,
do.
that's nearly as
And,
crazy as
and, and
Chiesa being a real Santa
isn't it
Claus, isn't it?
strange that it's been mooted that he might even be fit enough to be on the bench on
Yeah,
Saturday
on
against
Saturday.
Spurs?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Well,
it's
that's the
just
Sunday, isn't it? The week after.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm coming up for that game, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Uh-huh.
Um, that'll be one for me. I don't know what it is about that game. It just always seems to be an entertaining game. To and fro, and it's a bit of a battle. Um, I've just highlighted a couple in the chat, so let's get back to
Yeah, let's
what
go to the
he was.
chat.
You want to do
Rose,
the
good
chat?
morning.
You want to highlight them,
Oh, sorry, yep.
and then we
I've
can
already highlighted a few.
a couple. Yeah, I've done the same. I was just bringing them up on screen, so just so we've got some to. Because a lot of it's just talking amongst themselves. So I'll let
Yeah,
you introduce them and talk about it. Oh, that's an interesting one. I'll put that one down, my friend.
And we've got David Knight saying, just say hello to some of the folks that have joined with. Mark Irwin, good morning. Tune Talk, O'Connor. PDK's there. Oh, well, PDK's got a question, and I think
Yeah,
it's
go
been
on.
it's been a week now since you got banned. Please don't be like the YouTube channels going over and over, old grown. Keep it fresh. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Well, it was fresh because that was obviously because none of us had heard that whether they'd appealed
But
the ban or the red
you
card.
know,
So that
it
was
was
the
just
information
literally
this
the
morning.
appeal. I've got no qualms about the red card, to be honest.
No, no, no.
Ronald's in the chat. Ian Fleming's in the chat. Nick Fadley. Darren Lee. Good morning. James Cuff. Hello, hello, hello. Strasbourg, we've done. Yeah, that's them up the graph. So yeah, there's a few. Oh well, there's a one we can get out of the way straight away. Wyn, are you named after Wyn Davies? Well, my pseudonym is very definitely the mighty Wyn Davies, but I'm not actually called Wyn. But I wouldn't have minded at all if I had been named after him. The trouble is, I was born quite a bit before he joined Newcastle, so
Okay.
we don't win when Bruno isn't playing. That's true, no.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
if you want,
our
the
meets in there again.
there's trolls
7 days to go. Go on.
Mr. Glass half empty. The defence
Yeah.
shouldn't rely on the midfield to do their job. Of course they should. That's yeah, I can't agree with you there, trolls. I mean, you know, that's the midfield's job isn't just to attack; it's to defend as well.
Yeah, I've highlighted a few, matey, so we can. If
Yeah,
once
you
you've
get
read them
on
out,
and
Win.
get,
If you once you've read them out, just take the star out because it'll stay in there, and we'll just
yeah,
keep repeating them. So
yeah,
that's what
I've done
happens in
that.
the past. Um, let's crack on with some of the questions then while you're just doing that, and we'll see where we are. So talking on transfers, Eddie Howe's typical Eddie Howe self. When he was asked about any transfer news, he went, "No news. I am a step removed from it, and so it is always difficult for me to give you definitive answers. However, I am aware there is still work going on behind the scenes." Now, that's a very much a typical Eddie answer. He doesn't like to give too much away when it comes to transfers. I mean, we obviously know um, the Gahey situation is ever closer. Um, by all accounts, it sounds to me as if they have more or less agreed terms, but it's just a case of waiting for Crystal Palace to get obviously a replacement, if you like. That's what it sounds like to me. All the rumbles. I mean, obviously things can happen in 24 hours. We all know that. We've heard of players halfway up the motorway, going to medicals and being asked to come back because they haven't quite agreed terms. So if you if you're looking at if you're looking at the whole picture, the big picture, it's a fact that I think the Gahey deal won't be well. There won't be no more news, I don't think, on Gahey. I'll be well surprised now we're this close to the weekend that Gahey won't be picked for Crystal Palace because obviously he's still their player. And if you look at the setup now, we won't get any information until at the earliest now, I don't think, is Monday. Because obviously the Crystal Palace game, we've got our game on Sunday. I think it's going to be very difficult for any of the teams to agree anything at the minute. But obviously there was one player that was highlighted, and I have got a little bit of information on him, and he seems to be one that I say serious contender of joining the club. I wouldn't say anybody's a serious contender at this present moment in time. But what we have got is this lad, Santiago Heze. So he obviously at the minute is at Olympiacos, 22-year-old, a right-footed defensive midfielder primarily, but he can play in centre. Obviously, Argentinian international. He's got a value on this at 8 million, but I think they are looking in the region of 12 to 15 million for this lad. I've had a brief look at him, and I must admit he does look a very decent prospect. And I think, like I say, with a little bit of Eddie magic dust, I think he could be an amazing centre midfielder for us at some point. And obviously, I've often said in our previous shows that we have got cover in the middle of the park, but we haven't got good cover in the middle of the park for all areas. So if you're looking at a rotation type of system, then who plays in Bruno's role? Doesn't We don't have anybody that can progress the ball like Bruno. So is this lad potentially going to be the player that comes in to slot in that uh, six progressive player? Be interesting to see. But he seems as though he's been touted around quite a lot. Let's get to some of his figures at the bottom. Like I say, this there isn't many games gone by, so please, some of these percentiles aren't going to be fantastic. Um, so he's had 3 shots on goal,
But
successful
this is only
passes.
one game, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
what I'm
get
saying.
last season's though?
Well, the problem is when you go to like last season,
Because I mean that
like
looks great. One game rating eight
let's.
point three, albeit Super League Greece and us are in the the
I mean,
third level of.
so let's have a look at the stats. Oh, I don't want to look at that actually. I want to go back and look at the players.
Have you changed it? Oh, 23, 24, that's right.
Yeah, well, what happens, you see, is if you go into like what I am now, you've got to have to put Santiago Jose back in, and hopefully I can do it, but it doesn't allow you to do it from here. You see, on this one, because it goes into the different one. So I'm gonna have to try and do it, and pick him up.
Well, just we've got our continental football watcher, Strasbourg Steve, who watches football. I don't know where he gets the time to watch all the football he does, but he says he watched a lot of Olympiacos games in the Conference League,
Yeah.
and Hetty was standout player,
Well,
willing presser, good passer, high football IQ.
yeah, I agree with again. I don't watch a lot of the European or continental football at all, to be fair. And he plays quite comfortably in this deep role on the left side. And like I say, I think having a look at this lad across the park, he is the type of player that could go on to give us some great minutes. Like I say,
Well,
foot
conversely,
mob
there,
won't allow it.
Beer Vikings saying if he was any good, they would have moved him to Forest to increase his value because, of course, Forest, with their Greek ownership, have got connections with Olympiacos.
Yeah,
And they're
they
saying if he
have,
was.
but the difference between Forest and Newcastle, Forest are where we were a few seasons ago, and what they've done at the moment is they've brought in a succession of players, and
Not
I
all.
suppose to some argument, they've tried to work out the best 11. Now, the problem with Heze, I think Heze is a good prospect. I'm not saying he's the finished article at the moment from what I've seen, but what he does give us is a variety. He gives us some support in the middle of the park with a little bit of quality. And like I said, where at Forest, if you're saying bringing him in at Forest because he's got Greek connections, the ladder's 22. He's never played Premiership football before. It's going to be a completely different style of football, and there'll be a lot of pressure. I'm saying with Eddie Howe, it would be a way of bringing him into the side as he always did, as he's done with Bruno and you can see the development of Bruno and et al. Or the other players that have come into the side have equally improved. And that's the beauty of Eddie Howe with these type of players. He does fit the mould where Eddie Howe could, bring him through 8 to 10 games into the season. Give him a few minutes towards the end of a game, not a problem. But it's about introducing them into the side. But I don't think he would get that at Nottingham Forest. I think he would be, as a lot of them have, literally go and play and see what you can do for me. Now
Mm.
you can sink or swim in them scenarios, and I think that's the problem. But I mean, it's a good argument. I'm saying. I'm not saying he's wrong, but even on one game, you can see here, what he's got: successful passes, 48, accurate long balls, 8. Long ball accuracy over 50%. Now this is just one game, so you can see what I
That's
like
yeah.
about
Well, I
this
mean, you
lad.
can see from his overall score over 8 that he's had a cracking game there.
Yeah. Well, that was last season, I remember. The one I've just showed you, 8, was. If you have a look at his percentile on all, he's well above the 7 mark across all of the league,
Right.
across all of the 30 matches. So
I
that's
mean,
what I said.
Alan is saying in the chat there, I don't think midfield's where we need to be spending what little money there is. Other areas are more important. I
I disagree.
entirely agree with that if you're
Yeah,
talking about big signings. But if you're talking about a 22-year-old here that you're going to pick up for 10 million, let's say,
yeah.
that's a different argument because we do need to build the bottom up as well as the top up.
Absolutely. And like I say, the midfield, and I've said it from day one, you look at our strongest 3 midfielders, and I know everybody's going to say J7, Bruno, and Tonali, but who have you got backing them up? And that's where there's a massive shift in quality. And I think what we need to do, and like Win has just said, it's about getting the quality literally in the depth of the team rather than just the first 11. And
Yeah,
yes, he's going to come in as a squad,
except that we've got to improve that first 11 as well.
but you're going to have to spend a lot of
And the
money to improve that
that
midfield.
midfield at the minute doesn't need improvement, in my humble opinion. We definitely
Exactly.
need
It just needs
improvement at
supporting.
right wing. We definitely need cover for share.
Yeah.
Anything
But
after that's a bonus.
yeah, but you've only got to look at this. Look, no dispossessions. He's kept hold of the ball really well. He's had 81 touches in the middle of the park. He obviously gets stuck in. He's committed. He had fouls against him.
Yeah,
Tackles
because
won
I
2.
mean,
Tackles
Strasbourg
won
saying I'd take him
66%.
for sure. Definitely good enough from what I've seen.
Yeah, duels won over 70. 75%. Aerial battles won 75%. He seems to me as though this lad. There's obviously some reasoning why they've had a look at him. And I think, like I say, there's a lot of potential there. And coming down to the bottom, you've got a very small graph at the minute because obviously it's only one game, but it touches are
But
really
by the
good.
way,
He likes to have the
that's
ball.
another little bit of sand in the ointment. Yeah,
What's that?
vacancies in that game that you're looking at. Red card in the 32nd minute. Olympiacos were playing against 10 men for an hour.
Yeah. Well, listen, you can only go on what you see, and that's what I said. I looked at him. I looked at all his highlights last year and had a look through
This is why
1 or 2 games.
statistics
Don't always marry.
don't always give you the full picture. I like the eye test.
But what I've seen him in the highlights, he gives me the eye
But
test
anyway,
straight away.
the fact is he has been linked with. There's a couple of sources that have linked him to us.
Yeah, like I say, I like him. I like him a lot. I think there's a potential for us to have this lad grow as the club grows. Because, like I say, yes, he's only played one game. Yes, as Beer said, you probably can't go from that. But what you can show from that is the fact that the lad knows how to hold on to the ball. You're still going to get pressed. You're still going to get tackled. We had 10 men against Southampton, and when they come anywhere near us, we did our best to try and get the ball back, but it was a very low block. Like I say, without seeing that game
I'm just
individually.
having a giggle because I'm looking at your T-shirt there,
Well,
and
my T-shirt.
yeah, and that it looks as though it could be David Janola's hairline. As if you had a big Janola.
No, no, no. She's much prettier than that. Well, I'm not saying Ginola wasn't pretty, if I'm honest.
Oh, is that
Um,
not the feathers thing? Is that not one of the new feathers
no, no,
tops?
no. This is I took my missus is a massive fan of Pink, the singer.
Oh, right.
And for her birthday, I took her to see Pink, and for her 40th, I took her to see Ed Sheeran. And to be fair, I told her we were going to buy a caravan. And we drove all the way up there, and she was still expecting us to meet this guy at the Etihad Stadium to look for a caravan. And you can imagine how much chaos there was when all the Ed Sheeran fans was going across the stadium car park, and there was us trying to source a caravan. And she was questioning me, why did you ask him to meet here? And I said, well, I didn't know there was a concert on. And then
Oh,
I
so
just
that's
showed her the.
pink on your T-shirt, is it? It's not
So,
the new
so yeah,
feathers
this is
thing.
no, because to be fair, like when I took her for a birthday, as a thank you, my missus bought me a T-shirt, and I must admit the concert was fantastic. I was absolutely in awe of what she did. I'm not going to say too much, but my missus has just given me the middle finger for giving you that story, because to this day she still hasn't forgiven me for not buying a caravan on the day. Um, so regarding what
And Ed Sheeran, of course, who's just bought a minority share in Ipswich Town.
Switch Town, yeah, absolutely. Um, on Trippier, he's obviously said Eddie Howe said Trips has trained really well. I am surprised by a lot of the stories in the media. He's a valuable member of the squad. He has trained really well ever since he's been back from the Euros and continues to be a really valued by all of us. He has trained as normal. He has been very good. I'm not really sure where the speculation in the media has come from. He is just preparing, as we all are, for the game on Sunday. Uh, the- we spoke about this last night, didn't we? About and like I say, for me, I've spoken about it many a time, whether Trips should go, whether he should stay. And like I said, we've all been, well, I say we've all been, I'll say that tongue in cheek as well. Well, most of us has been in a relationship that hasn't worked out great, whether it'll be at work or whether it be at home. So the lads had a lot to think about. Obviously, the loss of, I suppose, the captaincy as well, um, and everything else. Loss of first team football. He's had to deal with a number of different mental strains. And yes, you can come out and question whether you are still valid. You can question whether you're still part of the plans. Um, because there's nothing wrong in asking your gaffer um, any of that. It's about being together, and if you can't be open and honest with the players, then I think Eddie would have a problem right the way through the team. Um, and like I keep on saying, when you look at what Eddie's tried to do with Kieran, obviously we knew he had this issue at the end. Sorry, from December of last season. He obviously then had this calf strain, which kept him out, and then the only real opportunity he had was going to the Euros. And you saw even in the Euros, there was a couple of times where this calf strain, he was still cramping up. It was still giving him some problems. And I can understand, the way Tino was played in pre-season, why he's not rushing trips back. But obviously for the player, at the age he is, he's going to be questioning everything. He's going to be questioning why he's had the captaincy relinquished. He's going to be, asking why I haven't been even played or started to play, even if it was for half a game. And like I say, I think there is the loyalty with Eddie Howe. There's always going to be the loyalty with Eddie Howe, but I still think Strips is a valued member of the squad, and it'll be obviously we were talking Everton yesterday coming in for a potential loan, and there was a lot of uproar about that because obviously we shouldn't be loaning him out. If he goes for a monetary value, and to that point, I agree. Um, But I also think it's about keeping the right balance in amongst the team. I don't think we should ever be just looking at pushing a player on, or getting on the player's back for speaking his mind. I think if that's how he feels, a little bit undervalued at the moment. The player's a professional. You know, we all know that he's had problems as a kid, but he's got over them issues, and he's tried to move on with his career. And like I say, for whatever reason, it's not working at the moment, and maybe he just needs a change of scenery. And here's one for your win. What if we loaned him out for a year to freshen it up a little bit, or even 6 months? You know, give him till Christmas and then bring him back at Christmas. Do you think that would be
Who
something that
trips?
Eddie Howe could potentially do? Yeah,
No,
just to get him
not
going.
not for me. No, if he's going to
No,
get going, he can get going for us. You
well,
know,
I agree with that.
let's have some rotation. You know, but no matter with him and Tino. Tino learning his trade as he goes, and Trips coming in with the experience when we need it.
Yeah,
No, I am completely against any loan deal. If anybody wants
okay.
him, goes with me blessing, but we get some dosh for him.
Mm.
If not, I see no reason why he shouldn't continue playing, unless he continues to put in performances as he did when he went through his bad spell. And if that's the case, then he won't have any complaints about being left out.
Mhm.
You know, it's then up to him to up his game, which is exactly what we want to see, a brilliant Trips performing for us. And he knows if he ups his game, he'll be in the team.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I have no issues
I'm
with him
just
being a
laughing at
squad player.
GDFL. You know, Ed Sheeran's bought a 10% stake in Sunderland, while Ipswich have bought a caravan called Jack
Jack
Clark
Clark.
from Sunderland, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. I can't believe all the Mackems crying over him, though. That's crazy. There's been some right stuff going on X where, people are screaming and shouting at the about the transfer of Jack Clark. So Eddie has moved on to talk about the captaincy. Um, and he said Jamal Lascelles has been promoted to club captain. So he's going to oversee all the other captains. He's an incredible leader behind the scenes. And Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn in the leadership group continue their roles. Bruno has stepped up to be the team captain, but we need 11 leaders on the pitch, regardless of who wears the armband. And again, we've touched on that.
But isn't it all bollocks, man?
Of course it is.
Since when did we have a club captain and a team captain and two vice captains? It's bollocks, man.
It is.
Your club captain should be your team captain, and your team captain should be a player who you guarantee is going to play every single game.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
at the minute, Bruno fits that bill perfectly.
yeah.
So no complaints, and you know, if you don't like it, pity, suck on it.
Yeah, but it does seem to go like, when we've got, I was saying to the lads, I mean, back when I played, it was the team that pick it, and the lads were saying, oh no, it's the leadership group. Don't forget, lads, the leadership group is the team. You've got your senior players that will all make a contribution to who they want to play under on the field. And like I say, back in the good old days, as Win has just said, you had one person to do that. That run everything. Went to the gaffer if there was an issue. Went to the lads if there was an issue, and give them a rollicking. As a manager, to be fair, if you had a good captain, you didn't really need to do a lot apart from the tactics, because it should be the captain on the park that's giving you the kick up the backside that everybody needs, because he's by everybody.
Well,
Um,
that's a lot of what Craig Lee's saying there. My biggest concern about Trippier leaving is that he sets the pace and helps control the game. And I don't think we have anyone in the squad other than him who does that well.
Yeah, well, especially if you look at both fullbacks. I mean, the one thing I always feel with Tino, he's still a bit raw for me, Tino. I know, but everybody loves him
Yeah,
because of what he
I
can
feel the
bring
same
us.
way.
But he is still very raw, and he still makes some. And don't get me wrong, um,
The other
Trips has
thing
done the
about when
same.
Trips was captain, and when it, 90% of our attacks in the early days of the takeover, when we were very, very successful, 90% of our attacks went down the right,
Yeah, yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
when Trips, you could argue, was controlling the game and that, because all we had on the left was ASM, and they were reluctant to rely on him to do
To
anything.
turn up. Yeah, exactly. But you've
And
always said Almiron, Trips, and Longstaff have always made those
Almiron,
nice
Trips,
little
Longstaff,
triangles.
and Bruno in that right little triangles on the right
That's
hand
right. Yeah,
side of the box. That was what our modus operandi was then,
yeah, yeah.
and it was highly effective. That's now shifted because we've now got the axis of evil down the left with Gordon and J7, Willock when he comes in maybe, and of course the latest weapon that we've stuck in there, which is Lewis Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Uh, bro, I mean, like I
instead
say, I do.
instead of what was effectively Dan Burn and Dan Burn, Willock, and ASM.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's probably a lot of hype on who controls what now in games. It's like I said um, back in the day. You have got to have more than one voice on the field because we were always under the illusion that the lads in defence sees the whole game. They're all the players apart from your goalkeeper are in front of you. So it was always a good idea to have one of your centre halves, if they've got the right voice, to be the captain. One of them days now. I mean, we it looks more to be, instead of having the voice, you have to have the ability these days, and you show more of the game uh, as you in your own ability, and you expect the lads to join and match what you're doing, your output, and that seems to be where Eddie Howe likes the performance. He likes to see the lads step up to the likes of Bruno and et al. And that's what I said. There's totally difference in, and maybe that's one of the reasons why um, Trips has started to be more of a background captain rather than an on-field captain, because obviously his output hasn't been brilliant since December. He has had this injury, so we don't know how many games he can be part of without having to be, off the field for a rest in rotation. So there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to captaincy, and we've all said, Bruno only missed one game last season, and that's what you need. You need that continuity, and you need that.
Interesting take there from Craig Lee. Bruno got the captaincy to help keep him at the club and to keep him happy.
I would imagine that's part of it as well.
Could
But
be, could
it's like I
be.
said, absolutely.
The
There's
real
no
leader, the
doubt in
one
my
who
mind.
stands up, but the real leader and the one who stands up to be counted when needed is J7. You remember Brentford, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, and if I'm honest with you, the understudy has done tremendously well, and that's Dan Burn. I think
Yeah,
being left centre back since
absolutely.
he's moved, I think he's been, one of the big names in the side. To be fair,
The
um,
gaffer's in the chat again. Come on, hit the likes, folks. Hit the likes.
yeah, indeed, indeed. Um, On Lloyd Kelly, Eddie Howe said Lloyd is in good condition. He didn't have a lot of match action in pre-season. He trained for roughly 3 weeks and trained really well. He has made a really positive impact with the group. I have been really impressed by his performances, especially when he came on in a difficult situation against Southampton. He would say he is ready and he is pushing for a start. Um, I was impressed with Lloyd Kelly. I must admit, and I've said this. I said this in the post match. I watched because obviously Chris was doing the commentary, and I was just literally observing what Lloyd Kelly was doing when he came on for Lewis Hall, who unfortunately didn't have a great game. And I was so impressed with this lad; it was untrue. And it wasn't the fact that he did anything major. It had got nothing to do with that. It was just his body shape, um, and the way he was watching the player rather than being attracted to the ball. And that's been the biggest criticism from me for a couple of the players this season. And Shaw being one of them players where he seems to be attracted to cover the likes of Dan Burn, who is his counterparter, leaving a massive gap for players to run into. And we saw that against Yokohama. Um, and that these are the type of things that we've got to try and get away from, if I'm honest. Um, what's your thoughts on Lloyd Kelly with a little bit that you've seen on him?
I'm impressed, very impressed. I think my only worry about Lloyd Kelly is the injury uh, situation. He's got this history of missing games. But if he's got over that, I mean, we'll get an interesting take tonight when Craig comes on. We've got Cherry's fan on the match preview tonight, and it'll be because and a lot of when he actually left and came here, they all almost to a man were saying they believed Lloyd Kelly would be playing for England within 2 years.
Being international, yeah, it's true.
So if that's the case, we've got a bargain, haven't we?
Of course, absolutely, and that's what I said. I think people
And
forget that it's cost
what
us
we
nothing.
have seen of him, his 45 minutes pre-season were excellent. And when he came on against Southampton, again, did
Yeah,
really, really well. And
yeah, and
the beauty of being able to play in two positions, because he actually played left back for Bournemouth last season more than he played left centre back.
yeah, yeah. Um,
So a bit of a Dan Burn. And
I think
if he can be as good for us as Dan Burn has been, he'll do for me. He's from Blythe.
going on to the last comment, really, and it was obviously just talking about injuries, and obviously we haven't really got anything to talk about of note regarding the injuries. So it was just literally on Matt Target. And it was nice to see Matt Target obviously get 45 minutes under his belt for the 21s. And this is what Eddie had to say. There has not been much change regarding the injuries. Obviously, we know Botman's obviously coming through well, and I've seen some more training with Botman. But he talked about Matt Target mainly, and he said Matt Target has had a bit more training under his belt this week. He's had a good 45 minutes under the 21s, and we are pretty much as we were, which is great news. I mean, yes, it's only one game, but
So
it's
basically,
surprising.
that's Botman, Lascelles, and Wilson.
And like I say, Wilson is making great strides to return. I
Yeah,
mean, what I loved again, you looked at Callum Wilson when the lads was coming off. He was in the tunnel, giving everybody the high fives and the handshakes, and giving a little bit of camaraderie. And like I said, and you alluded to it more than once. It's about this togetherness, this team spirit that seems to be running right through the spine of the
yeah.
team. And everybody keeps us saying like you've got to work from the defence up. And every great manager in the world has always said if you have a great spine in the team, right through the middle, and we've seemed to be doing that really well. And I think if you look at the players that he's brought in, it's all been spine players. I mean, top targets, going from like the likes of Botman, Popey coming in, Botman, Bruno, Isaac at the top, right through that middle of that spine. You've got yeah, good professionals that all do a job really, really well. And I think that is testament to the how Eddie wants to go forward. And from that, then you splinter across to your defence, and then you go through your midfield, and then hopefully your attack. And I've got one for you, Win. Right, I had a quick look at what we were discussing last night, and I was trying to work out myself, and I found this really, really tough. Now, all the chat, I want you to get involved in this question: who's the better player, Barnes or Murphy?
Um, well, as you know, the Murphy stats from last season, which put him as the top winger in the country
Yeah,
in terms of shots, big chances created, assists, and goals, left my mind boggled, because what I was watching week in, week out didn't suggest that that was the case.
yeah.
If you take, I haven't actually done maybe it's worth doing the comparison in terms of chances, etc., created, goals scored, whatever, by minutes played. I think you might find that Barnes would close that gap.
Okay.
But the thing about Barnes, listen, it sounds harsh. It sounds harsh, right? I would try Barnes on the right wing in favour of Murphy. Despite Murphy's fantastic stats and his big smile, I would love to see Barnes tried on the right. For a start, he's got a right foot, which means he can cross. Not that I think crossing's that important with our current attack. If Callum Wilson's not in the box, you're almost wasting your time putting crosses in, because Isak is useless in the air in terms of attacking balls.
Mm.
He's not physical enough. He's not strong enough. His strength is downstairs, not aerially. So if Isak is your main striker, then you don't want to be. The balls need to be going to feet, which is what Murphy is particularly adept at, especially with him being a right footer on the right wing. You don't need to get a cross in. You can play the ball through on the deck, which I think could account for why his statistics are as good as they are.
Yeah.
But I think Barnes is definitely a more technically gifted player than what Murphy is.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I was trying to get into my brain when I was looking at the question. It was like, who would, we alluded to it last night. We've got these two players that Barnes is saying that he's a little bit unhappy and not being picked because he'd had a good preseason. And there was a lot of lads in the chat were saying, "Oh, well, where's that come from? Because there's actually nothing coming out from the club." Well, you don't hear these type of things coming out from the club, and that's what it's all about. It's about keeping everything under lid and sorted between player and manager, or representative and manager, or whoever he decides to obviously have a chat with. Um, but when we talked about it last night, I actually come away and I did say to myself, who's the better player? And it's one of those 50-50s, because we all know what Jacob Murphy can give us. He can score goals the same as Barnes can. He delivers. Obviously, we saw his statistics last season with his chance creation was obviously well up there in and amongst the big hitters in the league. Um, but what you get from Harvey Barnes is what, like you said, think about West Ham. To me, probably the best game of last season. Um, Being 3-1 down, to with him coming back on, seemed to change the impetus of
Yeah, that
the
was a
game.
lucky
Now,
break for Mr. Howe, that was.
yeah. But it just proves, though, doesn't it, when you look at it, the fact that if he's given the opportunity to have a go on the right-hand side from the start, could he actually do a similar thing? You see, from me, even though he's been in the side from the entire pre-season, I haven't seen anything from him that makes me think he'll get a start before Anthony Gordon does. And even with Anthony Gordon
Well,
being away the extra couple of weeks, on holiday
that's a
from the Euros.
definite no. That he definitely ain't starting in front of Gordon. I
Well,
mean, that's
no,
just
he's not.
pie
But
in the
that's what he's
sky.
alluding to, isn't it? That's what he's alluding to. That's what I'm saying. He's saying I've had a good pre-season. I was just questioning why I haven't started above
I don't know.
or in the first 11.
If that's him starting to whinge, get shot, would probably get my money back on him. To be fair,
No, you probably would. You probably would. If not more.
if
But
he's starting to rock the boat, I haven't seen direct quotes or anything, but no. But I would like to see him given a try on the right. Did he ever
I mean,
play for Leicester on the right? Do you know?
I've only ever seen him play on the left-hand side.
Yeah, so have
When
I.
I went
So have
for a
I.
couple of games with a mate of mine who's a massive Foxes fan, when his father couldn't go with his season ticket, I
But
used to
again,
go along with
you
him if I
see,
was
at
free.
Leicester, why would he play on the right when he had that wonderful working relationship with Maddison
Madison, yeah,
and Vardy to feed in the middle? But again, you say that Vardy, for all he's a big lad, his strength wasn't aerially. I don't know. I don't think he got. I can't think of many goals he got with his head. To be honest. He was all about, through balls and Vardy having the pace to get onto them and such a fantastic finisher. And
yeah,
those
yeah,
were the sort of balls that Maddison and Barnes could put through to him.
yeah. It's a hard one. It's like I said, it's one of them where I questioned myself this morning.
Oh,
I was
I'm getting taken to task here
go on.
because I said Howe was lucky when he put Barnes on against West Ham. How was it lucky? It was his tactic was spot on and he got the win. Hang on a minute. His first substitution was to put Miggy on. And he put Miggy on and Kraft on. So that's two substitutions he's made. Barnes is still on the bench. And then Miggy got injured. So Miggy came off, Kraft came off, Barnes went on, and that was when it happened. So that wasn't Howe's master plan. He got lucky by forced into having to make that. He didn't put Barnes on straight away. So that's how he was lucky.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
And
we
I'm
all said
pleased
at
he
the
was.
time.
I
Yeah,
wonder,
yeah,
as Napoleon said, give me lucky generals.
yeah, absolutely. Um, it is interesting to see how it all comes. It all comes about because, like I say, there's a lot of people now in the chat saying, if Barnes isn't happy, get rid of him, let him go. I don't think we should be too hasty. I think, like I say, it's another season. We've just started. There's still lots of speculation. Even with Anthony Gordon, 'cause he didn't have the best game against Southampton, but obviously
That's
that's
there's a good point by Pierre. Without Isaac, Murphy's a championship player because Isaac can make the most of these balls that he puts through.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Um,
I think that's a
just
bit
go.
harsh, but I'm yet to be fully listen, he gives his all, and you can never ask for more than that. But is he the right quality to take us where we want to be? Probably not.
Yeah, I questioned it when we bought him. To be fair, the money we spent on him, I wasn't overly excited.
No, sorry,
With
I'm on about Murphy here.
oh Murphy,
I think Barnes has got uh, enough quality to
yeah,
be
but
to be on the bench. To be on the bench.
Yeah, I just like I said, I ain't being funny, mate. Barnes hasn't got the mentality to be a bench player.
Oh no,
That's what I said.
there. Well done, Magdi Bates. Barnes is
Mm.
a, if we were to go for somebody like Mbeumo or Alanga and to sweeten the pill, say you can have
Like
Barnes.
for like. Yeah,
I'm
but
not, I'm not, let's, I don't think you'd get it for a straight swap, but it, because bear in mind, we've got Willock there, who again I have my reservations about, but if Barnes could be the sweetener to get Mbeumo, get it done tomorrow.
yeah, but that's a trouble. What you're doing then is weakening your left side because you've then only got Anthony Gordon. And that's what I
Yeah,
said. You've got to be
agreed.
careful how you unbalance the side. And what we don't want, we need two players in every position that can change games. And yes, Barnes can change games because he's proved that. But I totally agree with what Mag Debates has also said there, um, where he's put down and said, "I would say to Barnes when I select you, make it hard for me to drop you." And I think
Yeah,
them are the words that he should need because the West Ham game apart doesn't do enough for the whole game. And we said that, didn't we? Even in pre-season, he does go missing a lot of the time. He just doesn't seem to have that ability to be involved. The same as with Gordon. Gordon will come deep to collect the ball and then progress the ball forward. I haven't seen enough of Harvey Barnes to do that, but
no,
I
I'm,
did
I'm saying
say that.
I would keep Barnes, right?
Yeah.
Because I think he can do a job for us, and it means that when you're making changes or whatever, in case of God forbid injuries to Gordon, or we're gonna have to rest Gordon as well. By the way,
Mm,
he can't continue playing, 60 games a season, which is what he's been doing non-stop now.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but all I'm saying is that if the difference between us getting an Mbeumo, for example, and not getting them is offering them Barnes in exchange, then to me, it's more important at this moment in time to get a left winger, to get a right winger, sorry,
Mm,
and then maybe he's in the winter window. We can be on the scout for a left wing backup to Gordon.
yeah. It's funny how people obviously
And we've
see.
got Sanusi, of course.
That's what I said. Have got Sanusi in backup now, and that's what I said. I can't
Yeah, well,
understand,
well
and this is
said.
me thinking, and that's why I said to you at the start of this. Can you understand the reasons why he hasn't been given a shot at right wing? The likes of Gordon has, the likes of we keep going back to Murphy, because now we've got Sanusi who's obviously racing to get involved, because obviously I wasn't really aware of Sanusi's background until I've had a bit of a look at the lad, and he chose to come to us instead of Man City, Arsenal, Man United. All the big guns were after him, and he chose to come to us because of what's happened with Lewis Miley getting a chance and an opportunity. And he says, I want to come to a club with a project where it allows the youngsters time to progress, obviously, but also give it a chance in the first team. And that's the reasons why he chose Newcastle over the bigger guns. Um, and you're absolutely right. I think now we've got Sanusi. For me, it gives me a more of an option to play Barnes on the right from the start to see how he gets on because it changes the
Yeah,
whole ethos of the game. And maybe then you've got a little bit of scope um, to bring, I don't know, Murphy off the bench if whoever needs to play or whatever he wants to play him. You can change the formation a little bit with Murphy.
yeah.
I always find Murphy gets
I
lost a
would
little
like to
bit.
be in a position where if you've got to bring Murphy off the bench, you're going, oh bloody hell,
Bloody
Murphy.
hell. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And that's not because I'm dissing Murphy. It's just I want the right winger that we're going to bring in to be levels above him because that's where we
Yeah.
need to be. And
Yeah,
James
exactly.
James Cuff saying, "Am I the only one who rates Barnes?"
Yeah,
I can only think of one game where he was really poor, which was Blackburn away last year. Well, no, you're not the only one who rates Barnes, because our beloved leader, Chris, the American Mag, thinks he's Messi, but we don't necessarily agree with him all the time.
no. But what I'm saying to you is, it just proves, doesn't it? Everybody sees everybody differently. Like I say, for me, he blew very hot and cold in games for Leicester. And to me, he's blowing exactly the same for us at Newcastle. And that to me is a mentality thing.
Yeah,
And sometimes you've got to have that drive. As soon as you come through the tunnel, you've got to have that spark to get out there and want to change. Now, I haven't seen enough from him starting to even challenge Anthony Gordon. That's the problem.
no,
And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that at all. What I think, it's not nothing to do with ability. I think it's more a mental block for him, and whether that's the fact that it's a bridge too far for him, I'm not sure, because he has proven in the past that he has got the ability to do it. It's whether he's got the mental capacity to continue it, and that's where we come from. So let's have a look at some of the starred. I'm sure you've done some of these, but I'm just going to make sure. Question. So, if someone was sent off in a League Cup game, could they potentially be banned from the next three Prem games? Yes. So, every game that comes from, oh, excuse
under
me,
the
my
FA
phone's going.
umbrella.
Yeah, anything that comes under the FA umbrella will. It's like we've got Sean missing now for the cup game in midweek. So obviously, it's the three continuous games from the sending off. That's how it works. David Knight's appeal against Shaw's non-red card failed. I hate the Premier League; it's so corrupt. Um, well, it's like I said. It's the trouble is with that. It's an opinion thing. It's subjective, and what you've got to argue it was negligible. The contact was negligible, and that's what I said. Once you lean in with your head, you're giving the referee the option to do something, and that's the problem. Um, Beer Viking saying it was if that was a headbutt, no chance was for the push. So that's obviously
Yeah.
what you were questioning before. Um, Trolls has put down, if we don't get an answer from Palace today about Gay, we should walk, in my opinion. Well, you're not going to get if there's no replacement for Gay, there's no way they're going to sell Gay. And I think that's where we're at the moment. And like I said, they've been trying all week with certain players. Palace have, according to their sources, and they haven't bought anybody. Now you've got to. The way I look at it is the fact that they got 60 million for Elise. They've got 30 million for. Was it 30 million for Anderson?
Yeah.
That's gone to Fulham. There's a potential another 65 million. Now this is cash for a club like Crystal Palace going forward. That could see them through 3 or 4 windows. And that's why now Glasner's going to be looking at every single player that there is available and picking the right one to move them and potentially push them towards the European places, because he certainly turned them round last year. The biggest problem for him now is getting a jigsaw back together, because he's lost obviously very important players. So it is going to take a while. Then that's what this problem is they aren't a club. They're very similar to us. They haven't got the elite players sitting on the bench that can come in and fill spaces. They've got some obviously good understudies, but they're not perfect understudies. So now we have to wait and be patient for them to find the right people. Um, Strasbourg Steve, it's a random question. We wearing our white kit for the game versus Bournemouth, you think? Don't think so.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I think it'll be
Oh, it'd
the
be black and white like we did last year,
yeah.
because we played the black and white strip when we played Sunderland, which is a very similar strip. So I think it'll be the black and white strip, because it is very different, even though it's black and white and they're red and white. When you're on the pitch, it is very different.
I think they are white shorts. We are black shorts.
Black shorts. Yeah, it'll be the shorts and socks that have to change anyway. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be the black and white strip, mate. I'll be very surprised if it's the white strip, because that's more of a clash. Um, and the red hoop, the red and blue hoop. potential, because obviously it's different hoops. But the problem is then it's them aerial battles in the box and things like that.
Still red.
So
Ish.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Trolls are saying the defence shouldn't rely on the midfield. Well, you've done that one. This is just obviously hit the like button, guys. Please, if you're watching over there on X, please come across and give us a thumbs up. That'll be grand. Stasbook Steve, he said he's very nervous against the Bournemouth game. Well, it has been a tricky ground to go to in past seasons. We haven't got a great result there. And there's their
I'm
question.
not suggesting for 1 second that it's got anything to do with it. But just what I said before. Interesting that Eddie didn't once mention his past connection with Bournemouth for the first time ever in a press conference when we've played them.
Yeah.
So is he going to be more ruthless, maybe, than he would have been? I don't think that's the case at all, really. But
No.
just something to think about.
But it's really funny because the Areola now he's looking at getting these guys into European places. That's the commitment that he wants from the players, because obviously they were only a few games away from being in the top 10 last season, and he seems to think that they've improved somewhat. Now, I haven't seen much business go their way regarding players, so it'll be interesting to see how these
Well, it'll
guys
be interesting. It'll
perform.
be interesting tonight that we'll get the
Yeah, we'll have a good look at them.
Bournemouth fans' take on their signings. You know, whatever their injury situation is. All the latest updates from the Cherries will be on the show tonight.
Yeah, be interesting. Lee's put
And
down chances are if Wilson went back to Bournemouth, he'd never be fit to play against us either. Oh, love it. Our mates, 7 days to go and still no breakthrough. It's coming.
don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic.
Ryan, so papers are saying we are close and we have got signing coming, and we got signings coming. Trips leaving yet after today. It looks like no one know. Sorry,
No
it
one is
looks like
close.
no one is close or signing what is going on. Well, like we said, you're not going. Gay is going to be the number one target. Now, whoever comes, if wins, number crunches was right last night, and obviously we got to be careful on how far down the road we kick that can. What you've got to understand is that you can't buy players until numbers have been confirmed and the papers been written down. And then that's what makes me think that these guys that they're looking for now, these understudies, it could be potential that Madueke comes on a loan with a possibility to buy in the next season, same as we did with Lewis Hall. And it's about keeping coffers in the bank because come Christmas, like we had last year,
Raheem Sterling looking for a club.
Arsenal apparently is the strongest point now for him. He wants to stay in London. That's what he's
All
come
right.
out with this morning. He wants to stay in London and he wants to rekindle his relationship with Arteta, because obviously Arteta was Pep's understudy when he was at Man
Yeah,
City.
at Man City, yeah.
So, and he had a good relationship with him apparently. So that's where he's pointing towards. Well, he's made it known that he wants to go to Arsenal. Put it that way. It's up to Arsenal now whether they
Makes
want him.
sense.
So I think it is difficult to say we just be patient because it does get a bit frustrating, you know, with our current situation. But as we know, for us, for some unknown reason, things never get done until the last week, and we've got one more week to go. So let's see where we are. Honestly, is this club going to wait till the last week to do business? What's going on? We need a right centre back and a right winger in now. Yeah, said it all
Can you
along.
believe the gaffer's WhatsApping me now during in the middle of a show
I can't.
to talk about me sending him £15? Can you believe that?
I can. I can. That's what I said. You see, when you're top dog, you know, when you're in that office, to us, you know, mere mortals, you
He's
can.
got the little beavers doing all the graft for him here, and he's
Yeah,
sitting in
yeah.
his ivory tower just tippy-tappy away, thinking
Tippy-tappy
we've
away.
got nothing better to do than to do this and to read his WhatsApps.
Yeah, exactly.
Get back to work, man.
Hells has put down, would be funny, Gary, if you got the seat next to me, which is the sales ticket seat. Leeds
Yeah, I
East
put
Stand
that
in
in.
Oakwood.
So, do you know what your seat number is, guys?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't come through till the 31st because it's electronic ticket, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't issue them for until the game or the eve before the game. So I haven't got a clue.
All right.
I just know it's the East Stand, and I believe it's. Well, my missus seems to think it's potentially Block E. So I'm not sure.
So that's
Because she
the
says when she had a look
Leazer's
at the
End.
ground where all the seats were available, it was Block E that was illuminated. So she
Right.
seems to think it's Block E. But I don't know. I don't know is the question. But I can't wait. I must admit it's been a long time. Um, PDK question for the chat: is the FPL league here? We've got an
Well,
FPL. We've
there,
got
yeah, there is. You have to
amongst
go
the panel.
if you join the fans forum, the WhatsApp
It's all,
fans
all the
forum.
info's
I
on
think
there.
Roy's running something there, isn't he?
Yeah. We've
I
all
mean,
got a team, a
I,
head to head,
I
and
can't be bothered with all this FPL stuff. But
no, it's the first time I've tried it.
the railroaded me into it, so I've just put it. I wouldn't be looking at it. I wouldn't be changing it. Well,
You're
unless
just going
there's
to let it run.
transfers or injuries or something.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my team. Get on with it.
Get on with it. Yeah, exactly. It's first team. First season I've done it.
That's the first time I've ever done it.
It's a bit strange, but yes, join if you want to join, matey. Have a look at. Come and join the WhatsApp group, and you can have all the
You get a
information
code
from
or
there.
something. I don't know how it works, but
Yeah. Trolls Trips has been out of form for some time now, and I can't see him coming back to what he was anymore. That's
well,
what I'm saying.
I'm just not so sure because I think the kid's quality.
Yeah, I think he is.
Class
I
is
said.
permanent, form is temporary.
I mean, like I said, he played out of position for England. He still got the ability to have a go, and you know, he was a
I
voice
would
on
just
the
like to
field.
see one more of those beautiful side foot volley crosses
Yeah.
that he does
Craig
from
Lee has
the.
put down. Barnes is a great player. Still don't know why we signed him though. We had Gordon and numerous others we could play left wing. For me, he's an unnecessary signing, luxury we didn't need.
Except
Yeah.
that you've got to remember when we signed him, Gordon then at that stage only had that first 6 months under his bench when he was used sparingly, and he admitted himself he wasn't up to how pace. So we could not have predicted that
How he was going to
Gordon
go.
was going to have the season that he had last season, which was,
That's a good point from Craig.
player of the season, obviously. That's how good it was. So when we signed Barnes with Tonali, nobody thought that Gordon was going to progress. Certainly not progress that quickly.
No, I agree.
So that was why we signed him, purely and simply.
I agree. You've put that one up. I'm just looking at some of the ones that haven't been starred. Craig, you're doing a lot of chatting, my friend. I'm happy if Barnes is complaining. I don't want players to be happy on the bench, and I think that's a really good
Well,
statement.
that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely bang on, mate. He's coming again, Craig, and he said last year's window looks now to be more of an Ashworth driven than anything else. Well, obviously Ashworth was still
I'm just going
involved.
to take over here a bit, Gary,
Go
because
on. Yeah,
we've
go on.
got this is a new guy I haven't seen in the chat. Terbrug Zonderlop. Hello. And he's saying Bonds is garbage. Overrated from the day he walked in. Gone are the days of HBA, Robert, Ginola and co. We have trash at the moment. Well, I don't think Gordon's trash exactly, but oh, they've got that again. Past Ginola, Ben Arthur, Robert, today Barnes. Frankly, hideous. Well, and then that's followed by
Welcome.
welcome Tobruk.
Yeah, exactly.
So he comes on, trashes the team, and gets a mighty welcome from our cigar-smoking, office-dwelling, button-punching gaffer.
Brilliant. I love it. And we're going to go directly from that to this. Alan McMurtry's here saying, hopefully we will see the form Barnes showed at previous club.
Yeah,
Like, well,
exactly.
fingers
And just
crossed.
quickly, we've got Chris has put in the so he's not doing absolutely nothing because he's put the WhatsApp group link in there for whoever it was. I forget now who was asking whether we had a fantasy league. If you
Yeah.
go in there and ask for the fantasy league details, just put a message in. I'm sure Roy will get back to you and send you the codes or whatever it is you need to join.
Yeah.
But
Craig's
he
put
does
in.
say
Oh,
follow
the rules.
if you go on the forum, follow the rules. The rules are respect. You can have any opinion you want, but respect, moderate the language, and no politics.
Yeah.
It's
Keep it football,
football, and it's
Newcastle,
predominantly Newcastle United football.
or linked to Newcastle in any
Yeah,
way. Craig Lee has put down, if we get rid of everyone who isn't Raleigh because they ain't starting, we'll only have a squad of 11. That's probably true as well, isn't it?
I think that's happy. I don't know where. I think he's probably had some predictive text putting rally in or
Yeah.
happy or something.
Well, I understand that because obviously, if with your rally calls, when you're obviously shouting and you say that you're not content with the situation as it is,
Yeah. No, I don't
they can
want people to
probably
be happy on the bench either.
no, mate. I want them to be all pushing. Barnes had a point. He played in pre-season, won the Brest game. Gordon was in fit, and he still didn't get chosen. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's
Gordon was still on his break,
on
having
his
played
break.
in
Yeah,
the Euros right through. Well, not played, but having been away with the England squad right up until like a week really before the rest of the players came back. So he was entitled to his holiday. He didn't have a break at all the previous close season because he
yeah,
was, of course, getting his player of the tournament and winning the under 21s Euros with the England team.
that's absolutely right. Um, there's some interesting stuff coming in from trolls. Barnes isn't that good, too inconsistent in his position. So how would he be on the other side? And that's what we said.
Well, that's what we're
Without
asking.
actually asking if he's questioning whether he's struggling to get in the side because he's second best at the left wing. As we've got Zanussi there now, that can come on and support uh, AG. Is it not worth having a look at the lad? And to be fair, I would have thought he would have done that in pre-season,
I
but he
mean,
hasn't.
bear in mind as well, if Bond starts on the right, and let's say mid-game something happens to Gordon,
You can swap him.
then Barnes can go on to the left and Murphy
Yeah,
come in on the right, or Mickey or whoever.
absolutely. And that's what I said. I mean, there is options out there to do exactly that. Um, and Alan said there that Howe did say this morning it was the most difficult transfer window he's ever been involved with. And he said, like, obviously he was going back to the June saga as well by getting rid of players that he didn't expect to get rid of, which made it all a bit more difficult. Um, and to be fair, I can understand what people are saying about. Um, it is frustrating. It is very difficult at this present moment in time because obviously we haven't seen major players coming through. Um, well, it's still an ongoing saga, and I think this is where it gets a little bit frustrating for people because they're all looking for the next big player to come into the side, and because it hasn't happened, it does start to question what's going on behind the scenes. Um, Craig Lee has put down, every time I feel a little frustrated or anxious about the window, I think about Ashley Windows, where you were guaranteed no one was coming in. Embrace the anxiety.
Embrace the anxiety. Exactly.
Absolutely,
Well
that's
said, that man.
absolutely. And going from that, what you've just said, the transfer window, Peter has said, transfer window was a disaster. Two keepers, one may go on loan, a young striker, and a haggling over an overpriced centre back. Yeah,
Well, the first thing you've forgotten there is we've got Kelly in on a free, but a quality player in. So without a doubt, better than Dummett, who we replaced. We've got Usala in, without a doubt, better than Parkinson, who was our only third choice striker. So straight away, there's two improvements. We know for a fact that one of the goalkeepers, Oddy, was only brought in so that both Newcastle and Nottingham Forest could balance the PSR books, purely and simply for that. And the other goalkeeper was brought in more for the coaching side, and he's on washers than he is for actually the playing side.
yeah.
So I don't agree with any of that statement whatsoever.
Beer Vikings put down here that apparently Paul Merson has been urging Newcastle to sign Raheem Sterling.
Well, you've just said that if Rafinha come out says he wants to stay in London and Arsenal's where he wants to go, I tell you what, I think that'll make Arsenal a far more dangerous proposition than what they are
I
now.
totally agree.
I've predicted, as you know, Arsenal to finish 8th.
Yeah.
But if they were to get Sterling, I'll probably regret that decision.
Yeah. But I can't see them finishing out the top three, if I'm honest. Not with the side they've got and the bench they've got as well now. What was going? Sterling off to, Darren Lee saying Sterling's off to Aston Villa on loan. Has that been finalised? Because this morning he was saying he wanted to go to Arsenal.
Well,
I know Aston Villa were
if that
talking.
was the case, I'd be gutted
Um,
if we hadn't thought about getting him on loan.
and Beer Viking said he plays in the same position as Saka. Well, he doesn't. He plays left wing. Saka plays right wing.
Well, he can play right wing as well.
He
He's
can
played
play
right
both.
wing
I mean,
numerous
but he,
times for England.
yeah, but for in
When
his
he was
time at Man
when he
City,
was
was
our
playing
best
left wing.
player last World Cup, he played on the right wing.
So I mean, like I say, there's going to be lots. Just going on the last thing, Eddie did say about Jamal Lewis this morning, and he just said about let's see what happens, because obviously he was questioning where Jamal was going to be, and he just said, let's see what happens between now and the end of the window. There's a chance he could leave, so let's just wait and see. And that was it. But what I did like, what was I don't know whether anybody's seen this this morning. We've got there was a barbecue for all of the team in midweek, and he wanted to obviously lift the team spirit. So there was a training ground barbecue for all of the players, staff, and their families. It was a nice, well, apparently a nice touch, team spirit, uh, and apparently Jason Tyndall, Mad Dog, was on cooking duties. So I
What a
wonder what that tasted
surprise.
like. Yeah, I wonder what that tasted like. Um, but uh, this morning, I suppose, was
Recipe for a barbecue is cook everything in the oven and then take it outside and for 30 seconds hide on the barbecue.
yeah, absolutely. And there's been a little bit of talk out there again about us being in touch with Barcelona about Andreas Christensen if the Palace deal actually falls at the 11th hour. and there's been still nothing confirmed regarding the availability of Andreas Christensen. And literally that is all the news we've got at the moment. Obviously, I didn't realise though it was the was it? Yeah, it was today. It was the 24th anniversary of the redevelopment of the stadium, seating capacity north of 52,000 at St James's Park. 24 years ago today, that was amazing, isn't it?
That would be the opening game against Spurs, was it? When Gaza
Oh,
came back?
24 years, possible. Yeah, possible. I have no idea, mate. At the top of my head. But there's some nice pictures of the construction going on. Let me just I've just found these out. So there you go.
Yeah. That's before they got the atrium on.
Yeah. Looks so different with all the workings going on, doesn't it? So different now.
Yeah.
But like I say, I mean that's going to be
That's
interesting to see what
Barrack
comes
Road.
from the Barrack Road bill. Yeah. See what comes of that now. And the only other funniest thing was obviously Eddie Howe going to his press conference in a golf buggy this morning. Um, he was waving to everybody, hanging on for dear life, and I had found it, but unfortunately I hadn't saved it, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a period for me to find that again. If I can in the next few seconds, I will show it you. But it was. Have you seen the?
The
I don't know.
Howmobile.
Yeah, I don't know what what the intentions was. I mean, obviously they're doing an advert for something.
Well, all of
But
the Geordie, well, specifically the Geordie journos, said when they moved into their new press room that the old press room, when they left the press room, they were straight onto the training pitch so they could observe what the players were doing and who was training and all of that. And Eddie made a point this time of the entrance and exit from the training from the new press room hasn't got any views of the training pitch, so that the journos are not getting any like sneak advanced information.
got you. This is Eddie turning up for
the
the
Howmobile.
yeah. Oh, it made me titter this morning.
No, hang
There's
on a
nothing
minute,
like
though. That's interesting, that though, Gary, because he's
why
coming in there off Whitley Road,
Whitley Road. Yeah,
and he's in a Howmobile. So the only place he could be coming from in a Howmobile, as opposed to a road vehicle, to get into that entrance at Dorsley Park would be from Blue Flames,
the Flames. Yeah,
which was the Northumberland's FA's training ground, which there's talk about Newcastle buying to develop into their, into their super academy.
yeah. This
So the
big
fact
development that's happening.
that he's coming in there means he's the only place he can come without going on public highways. The only place he can have come from is Blue Flames.
Yeah.
So he's obviously been looking at some of the Blues. So that could be a bit of a giveaway that the PIF are actually going to buy the Blue Flames complex.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I looked at this morning and I couldn't work out what was going on. So, if anybody can give me the heads up on this, I'd be more than interested.
Alex Murphy. Miguel Almirón.
Harrison Ashby.
Sven Bodman.
Dan Byrne.
Mark Gillespie.
Anthony Gordon.
Bruno Guimarães.
Lewis Hall.
Eddie Howe.
Alexander Isak.
Jacob Murphy.
Joey Linton.
Lloyd Kelly.
Emil Croft. Emil Croft.
Jamal Lewis.
And maybe just slow it down a little bit.
Tino Livramento.
Sean Longstaff.
Lewis Miley.
Pope. John Ruddy.
Fabian Schell.
And just for overseas broadcasters, maybe just slow it down a little bit to help with pronunciation.
Fabian Schell.
And just phonetically for foreign broadcasters, it's not really what Matt Target, maybe?
Okay. Matt Target.
Jason Tyndall.
And just for overseas commentators, just maybe break a J, Son, Tinder.
Okay. Yeah. Jason Tyndall.
And for overseas commentators, is there a way that you would break your Sandro Tonali?
Yeah. Sandro Tonali.
Kieran Trippier.
Odysseas Flachodimos.
Joe White.
Joe Willock.
Slow. Callum Wilson.
Martin Dubravka.
Harvey Barnes.
Jamal Lascelles.
Oh my days! I have no idea.
Well,
no
it's
idea.
they are obviously, going to be some sort of AI avatars or something somewhere.
Made me laugh though. His Mad Dog's teeth. I couldn't take my eyes off his teeth. They were glowing. Never mind anything else. Unreal. So yeah, Ian CR65 has said Eddie was travelling from the training centre to the new media centre, Blue Flames, in his buggy.
No, because he was going the other way around.
But he's well, like I said, there's obviously something going on.
I suppose he could have been coming back at that stage, but if that was him going to the press conference, he was driving into Darsley Park.
Yeah,
the new media centre isn't at Blue Flames, to my knowledge. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's at Darsley Park.
Well,
Blue Flames at the minute it doesn't belong now, but Newcastle have no official connection with Blue Flames. It's still Northumberland FA. And he was coming in off Whitley Road there.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like I say, they could have been having a look around what could potentially be this change. What was it? Checkbook of a lifetime opening or something like that, or development.
Chance of a lifetime.
Yeah. So let's see. With part of the development. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. It's been a long time since I've been up at Benton. But could that ever be turned into the new stadium?
No. Not big enough.
It's not big enough at all.
Just not
even
big
with
enough.
This new, with the
no,
Flames.
No. Because bear in mind, with a stadium, you've got to have you've got to have external infrastructure as well in terms of car parks and shit like that. Not a chance.
Not a chance.
No.
I haven't been up there for 30, maybe even 40 years. So it's probably changed somewhat since I was up there last. Anything else from yourself, matey? I haven't really got nothing else to add. Once I no plates, that's illegal. He's saying there, Craig. If he's coming on Whitley Road with no plates.
No, I'm assuming he must have been driving along. That's why I'm saying the fact that he's in a buggy means he must have come along the pavement.
Okay.
I mean, Craig Lee's saying he was driving out of Darsley Park, turning left to Blue Flames. He wasn't, because that was Whitley Road behind him.
I have no idea.
I'll have a shove it when we've dropped off. Shove it on again. I'll just double check.
Okay. Anyway, guys, that is it. We are back again. Is it 10 o'clock tonight, Win, or are we doing an earlier one because it's the
Well,
preview?
again, he who must
If
be
there's-
obeyed has said 9 o'clock. But I've made all the arrangements with our Bournemouth guest for 10
for
o'clock.
10. Right,
And he's
okay.
now saying it's 9 o'clock. So, well,
I suppose we could do
as far as I'm concerned, it is 10 o'clock tonight. But
right.
watch
We'll
this
see.
space, hit the
Yeah,
bell,
he's put on
folks,
there 10.
and you'll
He's put
find
10
out whether
PM.
it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, look.
Oh, Chris is
Who
there
said
saying
no?
10.
It's 10. There you go. So we're back on later on, guys, 10 PM tonight for the match preview against Bournemouth. And obviously we'll come with so many news that breaks during today. And hopefully we'll get some idea of... oh, yeah, look. There you
Old
go.
man. 9
Look.
9 p.m. match
football
preview. It's just
uncensored.
there's the thing. Old
Yeah.
man, 9 p.m. which he sent
Love
during
it.
the show. Completely unprofessional.
Right. Well, like I say, it is what it is. It'll never change. It's just banter, isn't it? It's just banter. Guys, thanks ever so much for watching again. And again, thanks for your contributions, because obviously the show isn't as good without you guys getting involved in the chat. So it always spices things up.
We love it.
Any-
Love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. From our point of view, like I say, we will jump back on if there's something massive breaks. But if it is just gossip, we'll cover it again this evening at 10 o'clock on the match review with a
Match
Bournemouth
review.
Bournemouth fan coming on giving us his points all about Bournemouth.
I think it is American English there. He's saying 9 p.m. is uncensored. So that's the other channel.
That's the other channel, the sister channel.
The sister channel, which is the whole Premier League, not just Newcastle. That's 9 p.m.
Exactly. Exactly. So, without further ado, then it's that's it. Don't forget to smash the like button, please, before we go. If you haven't already done so. Thanks ever to everybody in the background for all your support. Thanks to all the chat, and most of all, thanks to my right hand man there. To goodbye from me.
And thanks to him.
It's a
and it's
goodbye
goodbye
from him as well.
from him.
Yeah. See you later, guys. Take care.
How are the lads?